Andrew Tate goes to therapy with David Sutcliffe. Kind of looks like a little Paul Bunyan. We'll see what happens.
A little Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, it's got his beard game's on point.
So for you ladies out there, I want to apologize. The Viking could not be with us today. I know that the Viking has been creating quite a storm in the women community.
Yeah, the women are very excited about the Viking.
Just want to love on him.
And apparently he comes across as very, very fierce as a warrior.
And they feel very protected.
Yeah,
so.
they protective and protected. He was enjoying your comments, by the way. He was reading them last night.
Or was he enjoying them? But we've been doing a lot of Andrew Tate lately, but we never thought, so we thought we would take a break, but we never thought we would see the day where Andrew Tate agrees to be interviewed by a psychologist. He was interviewed by this psychologist like 8 years ago.
Psychotherapist.
Oh, that's even better. Like,
yeah, that's
what,
7
or 8 years ago?
Yeah, so apparently Andrew said that this is it was the best podcast he's ever done. Ooh. So he wanted to bring him in person. The last time was on a Zoom call. So this is going to be interesting to watch. I want to see somebody that can, meet him on his level in terms of intellectually. So we'll see.
Oh, I'm extremely excited. I want to see if Andrew Tate gets nice and vulnerable for the first time in his life.
Hopefully. He just puts off this facade. I just want to see somebody be real for a change. That'd be nice.
All right, here we go.
Does it make you nervous that there may be things that you don't know about yourself that I'm going to try to reveal to you?
I know everything about myself.
You know everything about yourself.
I believe that I have an intimate grasp of all the things about myself which matter, which allow me to compete.
Right.
So there may be things I don't know, but I'm not sure if I particularly need them. So I'm not that interested.
Right. What's useful is more important than what's true.
Absolutely.
Right. And you've developed a framework of thinking about yourself and thinking about reality that's been incredibly effective for you.
Completely. Right. What's useful is you nailed it. What's useful is more important than what's true. This is an old argument of mine, but I think we discussed it in the last podcast, and I'll say it again. When I say I don't believe in depression, nobody can convince me to believe in depression. That's not a matter of discussing whether depression is real or not. That's a matter of me accepting that my mental model for going through life is more effective if I don't believe I can become a depressed person. Yeah. I don't believe in depression, so I can't be depressed, so that allows me to be more effective. It's not a matter of sitting there going, well, maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. I don't believe in it, so I can't catch it.
You shape your own reality through the conviction of your thoughts, your beliefs, and the words that you use.
Why else would you adopt any kind of mindset unless it's designed specifically to make you competitive and make you win?
So what's useful is more valuable than what's true.
I don't believe that at all.
So
you can't sacrifice truth on the altar of your mindset. Like, if your mindset isn't backed and undergirded by truth, what are you even doing?
For example, Isaac could say that what's useful to him is thinking that he's taller than me. But what's the truth? Is that he's much shorter than me.
Not much shorter. You're like 6'2". I'm 5'10", 4 inches. Okay?
That's a big deal, bro. So I understand what he's saying in terms of depression, because if he doesn't believe it's real, then he can't be affected by it. And I think that's a powerful thing, because it's about your mind being able to sometimes dictate your reality if you have a strong mind. But when you make blanket statements like that, that's not always true.
Well, the problem is he has an influence that goes global. So men all over the world are going to think that he doesn't believe depression has any bearing on their reality. Depression, he doesn't believe in a state of depression. Like, he believes you can be depressed.
Yeah, he says that you can feel depressed. He's felt depressed.
It's just a weird way to say it.
I don't even know how to react to that statement.
He's trying to do this in a very intellectually stimulating way and repurposing what he's saying to make it more believable. And he's an artist at it. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, this guy, you can tell when he's talking, this guy David, he's
David Cutcliffe?
Sutcliffe. Not Suckcliffe.
Sucked. Like a duct, like duct tape. Not when people say duct tape, it's duct tape.
Sutcliffe.
So David sucked Cliff.
Sutcliffe.
Sutcliffe.
Yes.
Okay, we got it right. Let's keep going.
All right, anger can be used as a fuel, and it's necessary. And from my framework, anger sometimes is a mask for pain.
I'd agree with that.
So did you experience pain in there? I know pain is a kind of an abstract word, but was it painful for you? Like, I want to know about your pain.
Yeah, it's strange because I'm being as honest as possible. It's strange because I had this instilled sense of duty where even though I'm in a jail cell and I can't leave, and even though I'm cripplingly bored, I don't feel like I had time to feel pain, or I didn't feel like I had time to be a victim.
You had nothing but time.
No, I didn't have time.
Get him, boy!
Because everyone outside still relied on me. So when I would get on the phone, people would say,
Is that avoidance, though?
I don't know.
Do you keep busy? Do you avoid your feelings by keeping busy? Being on the computer all the time?
All the things I had to do still had to be done. Just because they threw me in a cell, it just made it more difficult, which means I have less time than ever because the difficulty's been increased. And when I would get on the phone, we wouldn't discuss how I'm feeling. I'd be worried about how everyone else is. They'd be like, how are you? Yeah, I'm in jail. What's going on with this? Are you okay? Are your bills paid? Are press hassling you? I was worried about fixing everyone else's problems from jail more than I was concerned about myself or my own mental well-being. And if I felt particularly, when I say pain, pain's is an awkward one. I don't know if I felt pain because I don't feel sorry for myself, and I've developed this mindset of such absolute accountability that even though what happened to me I believe was unfair, and even though I'm completely innocent, I didn't think, why? I didn't think, why is this happening? I didn't think, why me? I didn't think, oh, this is unfair. Like, none of these things crossed my mind. I was like, this is garbage. However, you can't become the most Googled man in the world without, with every light has a dark, right? Like, let's be realistic about this. Yeah. I'm thrown in a jail cell. Do I belong here? No. But am I here? Yes. I was pretty logical about it. And I was like, okay, I've got a lot of things I need to get done. And I would feel angry if I couldn't get them done. But I don't think I felt pain. Now, I'll admit, I don't sleep very well since I've left.
Why? Do you know why? I heard you say in one interview that you have nightmares.
I do have nightmares, yeah.
What are your nightmares about?
I don't think they're about anything. I just have almost like an adrenaline rush out of nowhere while I'm sleeping, and I shoot up. I bolt awake.
No thoughts, no memories,
What?
No real thoughts, no real story.
All right, pause it.
Whoa, okay.
That's baloney, dude.
So I love how this guy is using psychotherapy language, and Tate doesn't know exactly what to do with it. He said, I want to know about your pain.
He's trying to he takes, if he's not really good at something, which he says he has weaknesses. I don't think he really thinks he does. But if you take something that a psychotherapist tells you and you try to reformat it to fit your mindset or structure, then you're going to always trying to be reframing the conversation to influence the person across from you. And that's what Tate's really good at.
Yeah.
He's good at taking certain concepts that this guy is giving him and turning it back into his own little way of communicating it. And it's honestly, it's like watching a chess match, honestly.
Oh, yeah. He's even said in the past that he would not take a pill, or he doesn't want anything to take away his nightmares, because he said in multiple
interviews. Also his power.
Yeah, in multiple times he said that he can't sleep, but he doesn't want that to go away because for him, he likes the suffering. Mm-hmm. So when this guy is asking about his pain, in his mind, pain doesn't exist. He thinks that pain doesn't really exist. He can feel it, but he will not admit that he actually feels pain.
Yeah, and so let's see what David says about his nightmares.
I have nightmares, and I'll wake up, and then I'll either go back to sleep or I'll continue to work, and that's life.
Maybe life will keep giving you situations in which you'll have to confront that fear to resolve it.
Why would I want to resolve it?
Well, because...
I mean, if I'm really that tired, I'll sleep.
No, but fear creates distortions in our mind, right? I mean, fear is the seed of evil, right? And so we want to know what we're afraid of, because if we block our fear, we're susceptible to bad actions, right? And fooling ourselves about what they are, rationalizing. So I would argue that it's actually vital for you in the position that you are in and the responsibility that you have to actually confront your fear in a very real way, which probably goes back to your childhood. I mean, your dad was, I mean, the haircut story, and I don't know if you want to talk about that, if you're willing, but that's it. When I read that, I'm thinking about that little boy. It must have been fucking terrifying.
It is, but I do think I had the best father on earth.
I'm not disputing that. I mean, there's a lot of good that came from your father. I'm not disputing that your father was a good man. Yeah. When you say he could go from 0 to 100 like that for a little boy,
it's scary.
It's scary.
It is, but
that fear has to be in you. You don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. But I think that's prepared me for life fantastically. And I also think the fear.
But have you reached a limit? Have you? Well, of the video game. I mean, you're facing all these charges, right? So something, and maybe this is what you need to go through. I mean, you're on the hero's journey, right? And this is inevitable in some way. But also along the hero's journey, you have to die to be reborn.
That's true. And I agree with all of that. But if I'm genuinely, I mean, I psychoanalyze myself all the time, which is one of the main reasons I don't believe in therapy and psychoanalysis.
Psychoanalyze yourself.
Of course you can. I do it myself.
You don't think that's hubris?
No.
You can know your own mind, that you don't need reflection from others to see yourself, that you can see yourself perfectly?
I think that, no, I don't think I can see myself perfectly, but I think that life is a perfect reflection.
But why not get help? Why not? Like,
because then it becomes a crutch. I like the idea that I can rely on myself to fix myself.
well, you have a coach. Is that a crutch?
No, it's not, because he's teaching me something.
What's the difference?
That's fine, but like if I had an affliction, I would like to be my own doctor.
Hold on one second.
Oh man, I love
This
it. He's just going in. He's going in on him.
This is poetry in motion.
Yeah, this is great.
I have never seen any person actually delve into Tate and actually ask him questions.
Nobody has.
No, yeah, and actually get him reflecting on himself, but also he's trying to fight it, but then David just comes back and keeps giving it more and more.
He's giving it more gasoline. Tate keeps looking away and he's smiling. Like that's that grin that you have when you know that you've met your match.
Well, every other interview we've ever done, because we've done Candace Owens, we did
We did a
Jordan Peterson. I don't really consider Aiden Ross an interview.
No, that wasn't an interview. That was just,
we've done all these different ones. He was on Tucker Carlson. It's always them just asking him questions,
Yep.
and they let him rant for 2-3 hours.
Yeah, because that's what he's good at. That's what he's comfortable with.
Yeah, that's what he's comfortable. But he's not used to somebody actually analyzing him.
Yeah.
And giving him real life good advice that he, I think, deep down knows it's right.
Yeah. He
But-
doesn't want to come across as not being top G.
Well, he doesn't want to be. When he's not fully in control, he kind of freaks out.
Yeah, and you can see he's feeling very uncomfortable.
Oh, this is phenomenal.
And I think with your mind, you can do a lot of it yourself. And I think if you have a very strict framework in how you measure how successful you are as a human, and I do it through competence and achievement, I say, which mindset do I need to achieve as much as I can possibly achieve?
Right.
And I can measure that in real time. I can measure that in literally dollars and world championship title belts. I can literally measure the success. I'll say, okay, well then this is the mindset I need to have to be as successful as possible. Anything that's deviating me away from that needs to be addressed and concerned and dealt with, and I can do that myself. And I think the fear that if it's fear that's waking me up from nightmares now, it's just because I understand there's a very big apparatus, a very big enemy, which I cannot destroy and I cannot beat, coming to get me. So I do think that wakes me up. I think the fear is healthy. I think I'd be stupid to not be afraid. But I don't necessarily want the fear to go away because I have no problems feeling bad.
Well, it's not about going away. It's coming into deeper relationship with it. And understanding that there's fear that's happening in real time, but there's also fear that may be in your psyche somewhere, in your body, that's connected to your history. And that may need to be resolved, because otherwise you're projecting things out that you may not be seeing reality totally clearly. That's the thing, right? Like, is there a way that you're not seeing things perfectly clearly?
Pause it. So I love what he says about David went into when it comes to trauma of the body. So when you experience traumatic things, your body reacts to it, right? And so he's diving into that, and Tate doesn't like that because that takes power away from Tate. And this interview is what they call the divine power struggle, or the divine dance. Mm-hmm. So when you have two really intellectually strong people in a ring together, in an intellectual ring, not a physical ring, because Tate would kick his tail in boxing. Intellectually, the psychotherapist is reframing the way that Tate thinks to maybe get him to be more vulnerable and put his walls down and realize, well, it's okay to have fear, number one. It's better to have a relationship with it, and to utilize it in a way that says, you know what, I might actually have trauma in my body, and I actually need to get some help for that. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with having mental health problems as a man and going out and getting help. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, once we fully rely on ourselves for everything mentally and thinking we've already made it and we don't have an ability to grow, that's one of the values of being in a relationship.
Yep.
You see the weaknesses and you call out each other to be better,
Yep.
to be stronger, and it helps you become a better person. Now, I know he probably does that with Tristan. They challenge each other in every area. Mm-hmm. But once you think you've made it,
Yep.
and you no longer need help to become stronger. Now, if he's saying that, oh, you are going through all these traumatic experiences and therefore you're weak and you need somebody to help you to be strong again, I get him fighting back on that. But that's why in anything, he was saying you're a coach, you have a life coach, you have a boxing coach, whatever that is, because yes, Tate can do a lot of things on his own, but you can only get so far relying on yourself for everything.
Well, Tate has become inoculated with his mindset to the point of being thoroughly immune to any outside influence.
I mean,
so he's been inoculated with just enough
of
his mindset to be thoroughly immune to any outside force, because he thinks that outside force will take power away from him, which ultimately is narcissism.
Yeah, thinking that
that's a narcissist 101. If you go to study any psychotherapy class or a book, narcissism is exactly what he's doing right now.
Well, it's even funny. This is kind of slightly off topic, but even Tristan has said that they don't even read books. And the reason being is because they don't know any wealthy people that have read books, because they think that they figured it out.
Yep.
So they would rather spend time just building their business, which, yes, build your business. But once you think you don't have anything to learn from anybody else, that's a dangerous place to be in.
Yep,
so
that's good. Ooh, that was a good reaction right there.
Engaging and exciting. I'm not going to lie to you. Although I am facing very serious charges, and although they are trying to destroy my life, and although I cannot sleep the same, and although they're out to get me, and although I've suffered, part of me is excited. Part of me is like, okay.
Why?
I get
Because
that.
it's a war.
You like war?
I think all men do.
I do.
Yeah, of course, all men do. So it's a battle.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. So I'm not saying I'm glad it happened, because I'm certainly not. And I'm not saying I'm going to win. But I'm saying that I've trained myself to the point where if I were walking down the street and 10 men were to pull knives on me, I'd be intimidated, but 20% of me would go, this will be one to remember.
Do you have a belief that you could take 10 men with knives?
I have a belief that, yeah, I do. Because
That's
delusional.
That's delusional.
Yeah, but it gives me the best chance of possibly winning.
Well, no, running away would give you the best chance of possibly winning, and then coming back and being safe and then serving out.
Real quick.
That's so good. Just run away.
He's like, bro, you can be cocky, but don't be so cocky that you are actually going to stand up and try to fight them.
That's how he thinks. That's how he's trying to tell the world that his mindset's so strong. I get it. He's a very smart guy. I get it.
If 10 people try to jump me, bro, I'm running so fast.
If I don't have a knife and they have a knife, I'm running. It doesn't make me any less of a man. I just don't want to get stabbed to death.
Well, I'm going to teach my children, you fight, especially when you're fighting for somebody else.
Correct.
But if somebody just randomly approaches you and wants to fight you, if you have the option to get out, you got to Mr. Miyagi it, bro. You gotta, it's about defense. If someone's attacking you, beat them. But if someone's like, yo, we're in an alley, I got me and my 5 boys, we're gonna beat you up. Like, bro, I'm not gonna just sit there and take it, and I'm gonna just fight them all.
I got to be a man, so I have to fight you.
Not everybody's Jackie Chan, bro. Not everybody.
Of course, I would run away in that scenario. But if I had to engage them, if I had to engage them.
Right.
If I had to fight them, I believe I'd be the most capable if I believed I could win.
I agree.
So for that reason, if I have to self-delude, then I will self-delude, and I will convince myself that I am here to destroy all 10 of them. And I will say it in a way where at least 7 of them believe me. And that's the most important part sometimes about all of this self-delusion, is that a lot of other people start to believe what you say. And I'm not saying that I say bad things. If a man were to sit in front of you and say, I can rip your head off with my little finger, and he said it in the right terms, and he truly believed it in his heart, you wouldn't want him to try. As ridiculous as that sounds, you'd be like, it's kind of big, maybe. It crosses your mind. So I think that, I have psychoanalyzed myself, even though I'm not officially, certified. And I've decided that I can't stop bad things from happening to me. So instead, I'm going to enjoy bad things happening to me. And I'm going to build a mindset that makes me fearsome enough to succeed regardless of how stacked the odds are against me.
Yeah, and I appreciate your mindset, and it's well thought out, and it's useful to you. And so I'm just pushing up against the places where I think there might be contradictions.
I like to hear it. I like to hear it, but like I said right now, I'm not a coward. And I want to make this very clear. I'm not a coward. I don't care if I don't sleep again for the rest of my life. I refuse to take any pill, and I refuse to sit and have my mind altered by anything I do not control. I don't care if I have nightmares for the rest of human time.
Right.
As long as I'm in charge of my mind, I'm in charge of my life. If God decides that I don't need nightmares anymore, I'll fathom out how to stop it. If God decides I need to wake up in the middle of the night in a sweat fearful or afraid they're coming to get me, then that's God's plan for me, and that's what I'm going to deal with. I'm not a coward. I'm not afraid of any of these things. I'm not afraid of feeling bad. I'm not afraid of anxiety. I'm not afraid of panic. This is one of the things I think a lot of men out there struggle with is they're so worried and afraid of bad feelings. And to me, that's just showing that you've had an easy life. Like, there's real people out here who are trying to kill you. There's people out here who put a knife in your neck. You're scared of what? Feeling sad? Who cares? Like, there's real problems. What are you worried about feeling sad for? Who gives a shit? I could feel sad for the rest of my life, and I guarantee, one, nobody would know, and two, I would be monumentally successful regardless.
That's a lot to unpack.
That is a lot to unpack, bro.
I think my simple reaction to that is Tate is a master at taking everything this psychotherapist is telling him and turning it on its head to fit his mindset.
I would be okay not sleeping for the rest of my life.
Doesn't make any sense.
Bro, I mean, I appreciate Tate's mentality.
Yeah, it's a good
mentality. That
mentality.
he's going to push through pain.
It's
He's
just
going to
not
push
real.
through. He's going to push through any obstacle that he doesn't see it as. He doesn't become a victim, and I feel that's something that a lot of his followers really resonate with, is that he doesn't take the easy way out. He doesn't play the victim card. He doesn't whine and just complain about, oh, his life isn't perfect. Oh, I'm in prison.
Yeah, well, it's me.
And so I really appreciate that about him. But you have to be able to understand that some things are just not healthy as a human being. You will die earlier if you don't deal with certain things. If you allow your anxiety and you never open up about how you're actually feeling, you will die earlier because you are not being healthy, and there's certain chemicals in your body that are toxic for you that build up when you have anxiety and you're suffering all the time, but you're not willing to address that. And so I think that's what the psychotherapist...
me playing the devil's advocate for a second, though. I'll be Tate and I'll respond to what you just said. But are you truly living?
What do you mean truly living?
Are you truly living if you don't do what he's doing and let's say you die early? Are you truly living if you spend the rest of your years?
He's talking about being in suffering his entire life and not dealing with certain
But that's
basic
what men,
things.
that's the promise of men, though.
So one, you'll die earlier, and then you also will, the quality of life will be you just thinking you have to deal with every anxiety you have, or not even deal with it, you're just welcome it. So there's certain practical things that you can use and do to help your body and your mind be whole. But he doesn't, I at least from what I'm hearing, I don't think he's willing to confront those things. He just wants to.
No, because that takes power away from him.
It's all about power with these
It's
people.
a power struggle. And that's this whole interview so far, dude, that I've listened to.
Well, in the Candace video, we even talk about him wanting to get married. If he doesn't believe in any level of vulnerability at all, he will not be married for a long time.
That's the thing, though. I don't think he truly believes that behind the closed doors. I think he's
It's a
putting on this
persona.
persona
Yeah.
for people to see this is Top G. Top G doesn't get scared. Top G doesn't feel fear.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that with the woman that he's going to marry one day, she'll see a side of him that we'll never see.
Oh, I 100% agree.
All right, next clip.
No, I agree.
In all of this,
Yeah.
Even from the main self, even from we talk about the Matrix, and I talk about it, and people, of course, we compare it to the movie. But at the end of the day, there are people, moving parts in all of this. There's a prosecutor, there's a judge, there's a lawyer, whatever. Someone is sitting in an office who gets a piece of paper saying, destroy Andrew Tate. That person looks at my life and compares it to theirs, and they feel resentful. And then they go, okay, let me use every power I have to try and destroy this man.
Right.
If my life wasn't so aspirational, is a word you can use, but if it also didn't tick nearly every single box in regards to every teenage boy's dream, I think that they would be a lot less interested in trying to hurt me.
Right.
They're trying to hurt me because of the things I have and what I can do. So there's a massive level of resentment in all of it. And I also think the people who dislike me, a lot of it's resentful. It's either weaponized virtue or resentment.
Right.
Especially weaponized virtue. Let's talk about that. Because whenever I have a hater online, it's funny, people who hate me in person are very respectful to me. It's very strange. Isn't it weird how the bottom line of humanity is always going to be physicality? When they meet me, they shut up.
Sure. Keyboard warriors are very tough.
Of course. But online, it's very hard to say I'm stupid. It's very hard to say I'm not successful. It's very hard to say I'm fat. It's very hard to say I'm ugly. It's very hard to say I'm not charming or I'm not charismatic. It's very difficult to attack me with anything other than the fact I'm a bad person. He's all these things. He's perfect in nearly every metric, but he's a bad person, right? So how do you do that? Well, you take a virtue and you weaponize it. Misogyny, homophobia, whatever it is. They pretend they care about the subject when they don't, and they put it into a book and they shoot at you. And it's weaponized virtue. It's not genuine virtue. These people who are saying I'm a misogynist don't care about women or care about combating misogyny. They just want to try and hurt me with it.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Or the second thing is genuine resentment. Yeah, I remind them of the guy who picked on them in school, and they don't like me for it. But that's not my problem. That's their issue.
Are you defensive? Is that like a defensive posture? Is the way that you can be?
I really want.
Are you open to these people?
This guy's great.
No. And when I talk to you, I want
you to be open to them. This is what I think it is. It's like you are the man. It's like you are the daddy. It's just like, why are you being so mean to me? Why are you yelling at me? I want you. I need you, brother. Like, show up in a fucking way. Where are you? Like, that's what's going on for them emotionally.
Let's go,
This
baby.
guy is a legend, bro.
Oh my gosh, the way he uses his hands, his beard's on point. He's got like that.
I have never
Oh,
seen
he's calling him out. Can you rewind that? Let's watch that one more time. One part.
I've never seen someone actually yell at Tate unless they were just.
Yeah, just rewind that. I
That
want
was
to see that.
hilarious.
to you, I want
you to be open to them. This is what I think it is. It's like you are the man. It's like you are the daddy. It's just like, why are you being so mean to me? Why are you yelling at me? I want you. I need you, brother. Like, show up in a fucking way. Where are you? Like, that's what's going on for them emotionally.
perhaps.
Yeah. And so do you have a responsibility in that place to transcend the place you are in to really fully realize your leadership? You know what I'm saying?
That's a very good question. And when I'm talking to you, I want to be as honest and vulnerable as I've ever been. I'm trying to be as vulnerable as I can be.
All right.
But
What do you got? Okay, so people in the comments right now, what do you think Andrew's going to say? Because he's saying, I want to open up and be as vulnerable and honest as I possibly can. He is being dismantled right now by this psychotherapist. David is dismantling him. It is beautiful to watch because he doesn't do this kind of body language normally.
He does.
It's so interesting.
I love seeing Andrew Tate off his game a little bit.
Just a little bit.
He's saying he's trying to be as vulnerable. I've never heard the word vulnerability come out.
Not from Top G.
No, because vulnerability is weakness. And he's even said he can't be weak.
I don't think he thinks he has any weaknesses.
He has to be strong. He has to have a strong mentality. He can't ever lower his defenses because he's embracing every kind of pain ever.
Let's go back to what David said, though. David said right before we play this, he said something about transcendence. I want to hit that again.
Yeah, we gotta see this
because this is not something where we can just go through every clip.
I want to be as honest and vulnerable as I've ever been.
Keep going back.
I'm trying to be that's a very
You are. Yeah. And so do you have a responsibility in that place to transcend the place you are in to really fully realize your leadership? You know what I'm saying?
That's a very good question. And when I'm talking to you, I want to be as honest and vulnerable as I've ever been. I'm trying to be as vulnerable as I can be.
You're doing great.
But also, so let's talk about these people who resent me the most, or these people who disagree with my message.
What's it like for you to be vulnerable? What's that word even mean to you? How do you relate to that word of vulnerability?
That's a really good question. I don't know how I relate to the word vulnerability.
Well, you are vulnerable. You can't put yourself out in the world like this to be seen. That is a vulnerable act. Getting into the ring with another fighter where he might kick your ass, that's vulnerable.
That's his form of being
intense
vulnerable.
Vulnerability.
I think emotional vulnerability, nearly at every form, at every level, is basically a form of manipulation. So
Maybe that's just how you experienced it growing up.
What?
Perhaps.
Was your mother emotionally manipulative?
No. But if a girl cried in front of me, I believe she'd be trying to get out. I don't think it's just because she feels bad. I think it's because she's trying to get a reaction from me. And I think when men cry to their wives or whatever, a lot of it is trying to inspire sympathy from her. I think a lot of emotional vulnerability to a degree
I would argue that
is all manipulation.
Like then that would indicate that in some way that you are manipulating.
We all manipulate each other.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if you're seeing manipulation in others, that must also exist in you. And I guess that's the question. Is there a way, right? Like, can you actually not be manipulating? And manipulating is a strong word. It has a negative connotation, but like in some sense, trying to control. Because one of the things that I find in this conversation, right? It's like, I actually think you're going along with my line of questioning really well. You're not trying to control everything, but there is a way, right? That you have a tactic. You're trying to control things. You're trying to get away from something. You're trying to control the conversation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Of course.
Call him out.
Gave that up.
Well, okay.
Give it up. Give it up.
I'm trying. I'm trying to be as vulnerable as possible. Well,
But theory, like just the idea of it, right? Like what would happen if?
let's do it. I'm trying my very best. Old habits die hard.
But don't worry about the result. Just ask yourself the question, like what would happen if you let go of trying to control everything? Just feel into what that would feel like.
And But that goes back to the point about what vulnerability is, because I don't think humans are as emotionally incontinent as they pretend to be. And I believe that when you truly feel pain or truly feel trauma or something really bad happens to you, the result to that is usually silence. I don't think you talk very much at all. So people, you ask me, what is it like to be vulnerable?
Not women.
To me, that's not crying. That's not. I think when anyone's doing that, 99% of the time, it's a manipulation tactic, I believe.
All right, pause.
Maybe that's just my personal experience.
This is where I completely 100% disagree with Tate. David, if your wife comes to you and she's crying because she's in pain, do you think she's trying to manipulate you? You know how asinine that sounds?
I will say this. There's a lot of things I agree with Tate in. Especially when it comes to mentality.
I can feel this in my plums, bro. Oh my gosh.
Bro, this makes...
Wow. I just woke up. Oh my gosh. I was dying for a second there, but I feel great now.
Bro. How can you live your life thinking everything is about trying to up the other and control everything and manipulate everything? That's not how healthy relationships are.
That is so
bro.
toxic.
How many bad relationships, Tate, have you been in where she was purely came and shared her heart with you to try to get an emotional react or try to get a way to control you
Connection.
and make you connect in that way? Or if men are being emotional with their girl, it's to get a reaction so that then they can then manipulate you and to control you. And he said he's trying to be as vulnerable as possible, but
he's not.
He doesn't have that capability almost, bro.
Yeah, he's so programmed.
He has programmed himself. His father's programmed him to not feel. If you feel emotions, put it on the back burner and don't be honest. I cannot imagine, dude, where my marriage would be if I had that mentality. Dude.
I'm Linda. I come to you, baby.
Bro,
I just had a hard day. And then I start crying. I need you to tell me it's going to be okay. And then you're like, oh, you're just trying to manipulate me right now. Do you know how stupid that sounds?
Yeah, I think that this is a key. Andrew has gotten so good at talking that he's got horrible at asking questions.
He doesn't ask questions.
He doesn't know how to ask questions. So therefore, in relationships, from what I'm getting, he just wants to talk and just make statements and control everything instead of asking questions.
Because that's what he's good at.
If Linda comes to me, I'm going to talk, just ask her. So go into that. What happened? What was so bad about today as opposed to yesterday? I'm here, just open up. And then that's how me and my wife feel close, by being vulnerable with each other. I mean, I don't go and cry to her if, I stub my toe, like, oh, my little pinky toe is blue. Like, it just, that's kind of ridiculous. But if you're going through some really traumatic crap, bro.
Anyways.
Maybe, but I think especially with men, I think it's a manipulation tactic when they try and show too much emotion, and women do it as well. And I don't react very well to it. If someone were to sit in front of me and start bawling their eyes out, it's very hard to elicit sympathy from me for that reason. I feel like you get sympathy from me by sitting and explaining to me why something bad happened to you in a logical, calm, stoic manner.
That's not women, though.
In front of me, I feel like they're trying to manipulate me, and I don't buy it.
Or maybe you judge it in them because you judge that in yourself.
Perhaps. It's my human experience, right? And it's my bias.
Right.
But I'm trying to think of the very few scenarios in which I would ever cry. And I'm thinking, would it genuinely be because I feel so much pain, or if I think it could benefit me or help me? Would I be trying to manipulate somebody? Now, that's not something I'd ever do because it's not my personality and mental frame. But
crying is just a physiological reaction to express pain and grief that allows us to release this and to come back to homeostasis.
It's manipulation.
It's just, well, it can be.
It's don't attack me
but
anymore.
it's also a physiological response.
Oh, completely. But it's don't attack me anymore. It's I'm the victim, don't attack me anymore.
Be.
Yes, I cheated on you. Don't live. It's a shield.
Pause.
So when we talk,
Okay, so he just outed himself. The reason why he doesn't cry is because in the past he's been cheated on. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
He gave an example trying to be slick about it, but he just outed himself.
But he says that women that are with him are loyal because he's top G.
But the thing is what he just said makes no sense, because when you have a woman come and cry to you, you think she's just trying to manipulate you. Not all women are like that. That's misogynistic.
He is so involved in his own head, bro, that if, for example, I wish that the guy asked him this: if your mother would have died, would you cry? If one of your boys that you respect,
if Tristan died,
Tristan died, bro,
and we're not saying that we want any of this to
No.
happen. This is purely hypothetical.
Purely, knock on wood, I guess. How would that make you feel? And if you're so stuck up in your mind that you will not allow yourself to feel any kind of emotion and actually portray it, because now you're thinking, oh, I'm trying to manipulate someone. Bro, if my mom, in the name of Jesus, were to pass away, don't happen, dude, I would be a wreck. And if Andrew was one of my boys, and I come to him, I'm like, bro, my world has been shattered.
And you start crying.
I start crying, and he's like, oh, you're trying. Why would I be trying to manipulate you, bro? It was like when the Keanu Reeves video we did. I was an absolute mess. And if I cried in front of you, which I don't think I did, but if I were to do that, and you're like, how am I trying to manipulate you? When
I would. If I was Tate, I would just be like, man up.
Like, bro.
Man up, dude. We don't have time for crying.
Now, I do think men should not cry all the time over simple things.
Correct.
Purely to get a response from someone. So
that's manipulation.
Yeah, so he's like 30% right.
We're not saying, by the way, Tate is completely wrong. The way he's framing it is to avoid power struggle.
It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. There are waves of this.
There's waves. For all you people out there saying we're haters on Tate, no, we're just breaking down what he's saying logically, which he says is good that men do.
Apparently.
Right, but are you being humbled right now? Is this whole series of events humbling you?
It's taught me things I already knew. I know you can't be bigger than a justice system.
Wait.
I was saying it was for a reason. I knew they would come from me. I know I'm only human.
But you're not do you?
I do. I'm just a very good one. I'm just a very good one.
Is there somewhere inside you a belief that you're
What? Bro, you're ruining the clip.
I'm sorry.
I gotta
How can it
rewind.
teach you stuff you already know?
I mean, apparently he's been in prison before, so he already knows how it feels
But
to be in
think about
prison.
that logically. How can he teach you something you already know?
He said, is this situation humbling you?
But then Tate said, it's teaching me stuff I already know. The whole point of being taught something is that you don't know it.
That's true. But he's also referring to now being in prison, and he knew people were going to come after him. So he's saying it's showing him that he already knows what was going to happen.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to ruin the clip.
I had to rewind it because of you, boy.
I knew they would come for me. I know I'm only human.
But you're not do you?
I do. I'm just a very good one. I'm just a very good one.
Is there somewhere inside you a belief that you're invincible? Like you can't get got? Because that is a dangerous distortion.
No. I wouldn't have been saying Icarus for that reason.
Right.
I'm actually far more cautious than most people would believe. Mm-hmm. I err on the side of caution.
You're tactical.
I'm very tactical with all of my life. Even the security I organize, the places I stay, where I go, I'm extremely tactical. I don't believe I'm Superman. I just believe that I do not fail. And because you have no weaknesses, doesn't mean you can't lose, right? You can be strong in all realms and still lose. Mm-hmm. There are world champion boxers who have no weakness. They do everything right and they lose fights, right? So I'm not saying I'm invincible. Yeah. I'm just saying if you ask me to name my weakness, I can't think of one.
What should you ask the guys?
Sure.
You know what would be my favorite thing in the world is if Andrew Tate had like some kind of job interview and they said, so tell me your weakness. I have none. You cannot grow as a man unless you know what you're weak in. I can tell you right now.
It's a part of self-delusion.
I know. I can tell you again, I'm not quite on the level of success of Andrew Tate. But dude, we all have weaknesses, bro. You could literally right now tell me 5 of my weaknesses.
It's about.
I can tell you 5 of your weaknesses.
It's what makes you human. It's what weaknesses don't mean that you're not powerful. It's all about power struggle.
Do you think that Andrew Tate is human, or do you think he's like an alien?
Well, his brother thinks he's a lizard, man. He's still trying to prove it.
You can ask people around me. I would love to hear it. And I guess I can tell you what people say about me.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Do you feel like you get, I mean, I guess Tristan, but you get honest reflection? Can you trust the reflection? Because, you know, you're at the center of this kind of empire and you have all of these friends. But can you trust the information that's coming to you from anyone? Because everybody's, I mean, I'm here in some way for my own self-interest, right? Yeah. And the fact that you trust me it was interesting to me. You let me in your house.
Winter is coming, and I want you to know that when it comes, I want you prepared. If all you do...
I assume that you have some kind of instinct about it, but that must be hard, like, to trust.
I get a lot of feedback, and it all goes into a big pile, and I listen to every word that's said to me. I'm not the person who's beyond reproach. Everyone I work with, a lot of people have said things to me, and I'm told about myself quite often. Yeah. And I put it all in a pile, and I analyze every single word carefully. I ignore most of it, but I do listen to it. And I guess the number one bad or negative thing that people will say about me who know me is they may say I'm very insensitive. I hear that sometimes, usually from women.
You're insensitive.
I'm insensitive because I think once you become a ruthless problem solver, you come across to a degree as insensitive. We have this big issue and everyone's crying. Okay, stop crying, fix the issue. Right. You have to be insensitive. Okay, what are you crying about? Let's fix that.
Right. Well, you know that's wrong.
Well, a lot of people want to vent. They don't want to fix the problem. They want to cry.
Well, they just need you to be with them and say, I understand. Here you are, baby. I love you.
Completely.
You're rolling your eyes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So when you become a ruthless problem solver, you become to a degree insensitive. Now there are some scenarios which that doesn't work, right? There's some problems you can't fix. The death of a loved one, that's different.
Yeah.
But if people are crying about something which is very fixable, it's very difficult for me to be interested in their crying. And I'll tell you why. Because if I have a set standard for myself, if I wouldn't allow myself that luxury, it's very hard for me to give it out to everybody else. If I don't allow myself the luxury of being incompetent because of an emotion, then it's very hard for me to look at others and go, well, you're allowed to be incompetent because of your emotions, and you're allowed to be incompetent because of your emotions, and I'll just deal with the struggle of never being incompetent ever, regardless of how I feel. If I have standard for myself, I'm going to implore my standard or imply my standard on others, and if they don't meet that standard, then they're going to call me insensitive.
What would you have to give up to become more sensitive, particularly to your women?
I'm a very sensitive, romantic, nice man. Yeah. In general, I'm actually a romantic man. I get called that a lot. No one calls me cold. Right. It's different.
You're loving?
Completely. But when it comes to problems especially, can be insensitive.
You default to problem solving.
Absolutely.
That's not what they want.
What's the issue?
They want you to just understand and hold them.
They want to cry about the problem a while. And time is money.
If you hold people to the same standard as you, it is a situation by situation basis. I hold you to the standard I hold myself, right? So if you come to me and cry that, oh, you know, I couldn't bench 200 pounds and the world is falling apart, I'd be like, bro, just man up. Like, come on. Yeah. But I cannot hold my wife to the same standard as me. You know why? Because she is a woman. I am a man. We are moved differently by different things. She gets emotionally over some things I don't get emotionally over. And there's certain things that affect me in ways that don't affect her. Human beings are not as simple as a black and white photo that you can just see it and okay, it's exactly that all the time. We are complex. We have emotions, but to expect everybody else to be on the level you're at, I agree with that when it comes to your brotherhood, but when it comes to your opposite sex relations with, having relationships with women, if you call them to the standard of you as a man, you are saying that they are the same as you. That's a very scary place to be in, dude, because you're not going to have many people that want to stick around with you.
Well, it's a juxtaposition type of thing he's saying. That he has been called out by women as being insensitive. Then he says that he's romantic and that he's very sensitive.
It's just all
so he's saying that he's only insensitive when it comes to problem solving. So he is masterfully working around what this guy's asking of him. Masterfully, I might add. Probably the best I've ever seen. And it's really interesting to watch.
It's funny though because David is still calling him out.
Yeah,
he's like, I see all these things that are not consistent.
He's not pressing. The thing I don't like though is David's not pressing more. I wish he would.
Yeah, someday I'll interview you, Andrew Tate, and we'll have a good time.
You must know that has limitations, because you can't rationalize everything. That's not what life is.
Isn't it?
Right? There's other layers of reality that the mind does not understand.
Okay, well,
Right?
you're right. And just because I rationalize things doesn't mean I don't feel things. But yeah,
I know you feel things.
yeah, I feel things.
And I know I actually know that you're really sensitive. Like I wouldn't be here if I thought you were some, maniacal psychopath.
Correct.
It's because I'm here because I can, and that's what I think a lot of people saw in the interview. They felt your sensitivity, they felt your vulnerability, and they were really attracted to it.
Oh, I'm a lot more sensitive than people know. And this is one of the things I like to say. When I talk about depression not being real or how life is pain and suffering, that doesn't mean that I'm not saying those things because I've never felt them.
Yeah.
I'm saying those things because I know them intimately. I'm saying those things because I know exactly how it would feel to label myself a depressed person.
Yeah.
I know it very well. I just refused to do it.
Right.
So yeah, I'm absolutely not a sensitive person. I would label myself sensitive. But maybe but maybe, one second, I just want to go back to my original point. Maybe my worldview is affected by, and we're talking about arrogance, when you wake up and all you do are things you're world level at.
Yeah.
Everything you do are things you're fantastic at, right? All of the time.
Yeah.
And you beat everybody all of the time at all of it.
Yeah.
Aren't you going to have a degree, a tinge perhaps, of arrogance?
Of course.
Of course you are. So, but would I label myself an arrogant person? Well, I'm not going to sit down and say I'm good at something I'm not.
Right.
So I don't think I'm unrealistic.
Are you taking on the full responsibility that you have given all of the gifts that you've been given by God? Yeah. Is there any place where you're not taking on responsibility for that?
No. I think I take care of absolutely everybody I love in every single way. I think anybody who's ever needed me, I've been there for them if they've deserved it. I think anybody who listens to my message is becoming a better person overall. I genuinely believe I'm fixing and helping society. I don't know what else more I'm supposed to do. I mean, to a degree, I've almost martyred myself. What else more can I do? My options at this point are either to continue to help people and explain to men why I became so successful, which is all I'm basically doing. I'm saying you're a man and you're upset and you want to be X. I'm telling you how I became what I wanted to be. This is what I did.
Is there anything beyond the things you just said that you're responsible for? Like, what is your responsibility here?
My responsibility.
Well, I guess ultimately to yourself, it's to your family first, right? What is your responsibility to God?
I think God wants me to be the best possible version of myself. I think that God dislikes people who are lazy. I said this to somebody once and he got very offended. I said, God doesn't like lazy people. God has created you and he wants to see the absolute best you can be. I think that if you don't take care of yourself, God has no interest in taking care of you. If you have a Ferrari on the drive and you don't take care of it, who's going to take care of it? Nobody. I think that taking care of yourself and being the best possible version of yourself you can be is how you please God. I think that's one of the best ways to praise him, is to wake up every day and say, I need to be the strongest, smartest, fastest, most fearsome, most stoic, most capable man I can possibly be. This is how I please God. So I think your duty to God is also these things. And that's another massive source of strength that I get. When I'm alone in a jail cell, I understand that God is still watching. And God would be unhappy if I couldn't handle it. I don't think, maybe we can talk about God, or we can also talk just about basic cosmic balance. I don't believe you can become the most famous man on the planet, calling yourself the top G, without the universe testing if you're really about it. I don't think you're going to get to a point where the universe, whatever you want to call it, is going to say, is he really the top G? Yeah. And you're going to have to prove it. If you walk through life and say, I'm made of iron, I'm Mr. Tough Guy, sooner or later someone's going to check you and find out if you are or not. Right. So when I was doing this for a very long time, I wasn't ignorant to the fact that something's going to come along and see if I am who I am. So when I'm sitting in a jail cell by myself with cockroaches all over the floor, I'm like, okay, this is my chance to show I'm not full of shit. Right. Was I full of shit? No, I wasn't. Am I going to allow everything I've ever said and my last name and my duty to God and everything to go down the pan, or am I going to just man up and win? Right. So I saw it, I guess, to a degree as an opportunity, but there was a massive burden of responsibility on me on how I had to perform. I didn't have time to be depressed or sad. This is what I'm saying to you earlier. I didn't have time. I had things to do. Top G's kids can't eat. Top G's women can't pay the bills. Top G's business is over. No, I had to fix all of it from jail and fix myself and get out. I was very busy inside of my brain staring at a wall. So I didn't have time for this. And this is another thing I try and explain to people, and I don't understand about, and I talk about men specifically because I understand how to be successful as a man. When men say to me they're depressed, with unlimited options, with the capability to become anything you desire, with God giving you a full and able body and mind, how do you have time to be depressed? You have so much you could do. There's so much that you need to do to be your best self, and you're competing against men like me, and you're finding hours a day to be sad? No wonder you're going to perpetually lose forever.
I mean, that is pretty gritty and raw, but I mean, he is right in a lot of ways. If you are, isolation is, for men, it's a cancer.
Yeah.
Being alone a lot and just being alone with your thoughts without any purpose or mission or vision in life can lend itself to struggling with pornography. That's what I struggled for years, is because I would just sit at home, watch TV, and not actually work on self-improvement, not call you guys up when I was struggling. And it's easy for men to go down that rabbit hole in that cave of isolation and then feel depressed and lonely and upset that they're not getting the woman of their dreams, or they're not getting the job that they wanted, or they're not in the gym working out. So it's a compound effect. And I think that's what he's going into here is, as a man, you don't have time to do that stuff because you have to be working to fulfill the goals and the destiny inside of you that ultimately is what women want. They want a competent man that has those capabilities to protect, provide, and care for them.
Yeah. No, it's the fascinating thing is that he says all that, but he also is saying that he cares what people think.
I know it's a lot of there's a lot of contradictions, and I think David pointed that out on this.
Yeah, that he still cares about what other people think, because he's saying if you're going to be the top G, you have to have all these things aligned, because he cares what people think. He will maybe never admit it, but he absolutely cares.
It's selective caring.
He is doing all these things because he can't be seen as a man that's weak. So if he was to ask Andrew Tate, if David was to ask Andrew Tate, do you care what people think?
He's going to say no.
He would say no, but then I would say all these things that you're doing is because you are afraid of not being the best version of yourself of how you show the world. Mm-hmm. So it's fascinating, but man, that was a lot.
Do you think God wants to break you?
If God wants to break me, he's going to do
it. Because we said, right, the hero's journey, there must be death and rebirth. So what, like something, you have to be broken. At some point, you must be broken. You can't fulfill your mission without being broken. And whatever that is, it has to terrify you.
But can't I be semi-broken or semi-close to broken and back from the edge? Back from the edge?
Death and rebirth. That's the archetype, right? And what does that require? It means going into the cave and facing your dragon, which is your deepest fear, and feeling like it's going to kill you, and then entering into the void of nothingness, and then coming out the other side, reborn. And in that place where you're reborn, you're going to know things that you did not know sitting right here. And you're going to have a much bigger perspective, right? I mean, you agree with that template, right?
I agree with it, but I feel like I can I don't feel like
get around that?
Not get around it, but I don't ever have to fully die. Like, I can just come close enough times. Like, I'm not going to
want to lose control.
No, of course. But I'm not going to underplay how significantly difficult my jail experience was.
Yeah, because you do talk about like how tough you were, you managed it, and I guess I believe that. I'm not, but there had to be moments where you're just like,
it was terrible.
Despair.
No, it was absolutely terrible.
Or fear, or like.
But this is very interesting into your death and rebirth point, because when it felt completely terrible, I do have the emotional control to not feel that. But I decided to let myself feel it because I felt like I wouldn't learn as much if I turned my brain off.
That's right.
So I've talked on PBD about Tristan. Tristan and I have the same superpower. Tristan didn't care about jail. He didn't care. He didn't, or he acted like he didn't care. He acted like he didn't care. But that was his coping mechanism.
Sure.
Don't care about jail. I decided, no, I'm gonna care. I'm gonna feel everything. I'm gonna allow myself to feel these negative emotions because I feel like I will learn more. I could have done what Tristan did. I could have woke up and said one day or later they'll let me out. Still rich. Could have done that. I didn't do that. And jail, that's why he sleeps. That's why I have nightmares. Because I don't believe his jail experience was that traumatic because he turned his brain off to it. And that is a superpower.
Yes.
And I do have that power. If I went to war, I could go to war and watch all my friends be blown to pieces and still fight. I would still be capable. I can turn my brain off if I have to, but I decided not to because I felt that feeling things would teach me more, which is why I'm kind of arguing your point about death and rebirth, because I feel like I don't have to fully break. I just have to get close enough to the edge to learn something and come back.
Why not break?
Because if I break, then there's too much. My empire might fall. Well, exactly.
Did you hear
I
that?
don't know.
Ooh.
If I break, my empire might fall. He's afraid of losing control, guys. This is just what it gets back to. I'm stretching right now because I'm just feeling it all in my plums. But man, he knows deep down in his soul that he allowed himself to feel the emotions in jail. And then after that experience, reflecting on it now with this psychotherapist, he's learning about himself and he's opening up and saying things that he has never said before, because he knows deep down that if he, even for a second, changes his persona, then he could lose everything.
He says things, but then clarifies them in a way to not detract from things he's already said.
Yeah, he's afraid.
He is so scared, dude, of losing control.
Yeah, he's afraid.
If you were
of
to
it.
ask him if he's scared, he'd say no, because that's not a way I can live my life. But he's so scared.
You can
of
see the
losing
fear in his
control,
eyes.
Man. Even David was like, "Can God will? Do you think God should break you, or what was it that he said? Should God break you?" He's like, "Well, just a little bit." And
He wants to go as close to the edge and flirt with it as possible to learn as much as he can and then come back. That's not how life works.
Is that masochistic though?
That's masochism. Or masochism? Masochism? Let me look it up.
No, it's masochism.
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 Kism.
It's masochism.
Yeah, masochism.
Because
the tendency to derive pleasure, especially sexual gratification, from one's own pain or humiliation.
So he's like half masochistic then, because he doesn't want to be embarrassed. He doesn't want to be humiliated, but he wants to be as much in control and then allow himself to feel so much pain to learn from it. But then he comes back and he rejects the fact that he actually feels pain.
I know what his biggest fear is now.
What?
Being broken.
Oh, 100%.
So that because he'll lose everything.
I've sacrificed
But
presence.
maybe you have a mental model that says I can't be all the way present and do all of those things, and maybe that model is incorrect.
Well, presence is if you're truly present, then you're not worried about anything outside of the moment you're in.
Not necessarily.
How does that work? This I'm interested in.
Yeah, I mean, because the presence, right? You can let your consciousness go out, right? And you can be aware of everything, right?
I'm perspicacious is one of my favorite words. I am aware of what's happening. Yeah. I'm just not particularly interested in it. So I will sit at a table where everyone's having a conversation, and I'll sit on my laptop and I'll chime up once every hour. I hear every word. I've analyzed every word. I know who's right. I know who's wrong. I know what I could have said. I know whose brain I could have changed, what mind I could have affected. I've already considered if it's worth doing, but I'd rather do my work, and I'll ignore it all until I pop up and say 3 words and control the entire conversation and go back to my laptop. Yeah. I'm aware of everything. I'm just not particularly present because I feel like I've built a life which is so large that it's hard for me to be present in the moment. I'm present with my children for an hour or 2, and then it's like, okay, back to work. So,
Was your father present with you?
no, but I don't think. But then this again.
I'm just saying, as a psychotherapist, when somebody said that, you said that he wasn't present with you. That must have been.
That didn't bother me at all.
It didn't bother you.
Come on,
He had
dude.
things to do.
Come on, dude. Of course it bothered you.
Dude, that annoys me.
That annoys me too. Daddy loves you, bro. It's okay to have your daddy love you. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with admitting that it bothered you that your father wasn't present.
But I had the best father in the entire world. He was perfect. He challenged me. I'm who I am today.
Why are you using that voice?
Because I want my daddy to love me.
No, I'm just annoyed, dude, that he's so deep into this mentality of fathers are only there to install things in you so that you can be successful. That's half of the coin, bro.
That's not even the most important half. If you don't have a father who loves you, this goes back to real quick, nuclear family. That's why America's struggling today, is because the nuclear family is under attack because fathers are not present in the home.
They just pop in for an hour, tell you to be a strong person, stop whining, like a little girl, like they say. Yeah. Just stop whining. But I don't even know what to say.
Let's see what
That's
he says.
so disturbing to me.
There's more to this clip. Let's continue.
Full-grown man.
I mean, we could talk about the haircut tweet, but I didn't understand, your history that you were raised by a single mother. Your father wasn't around.
Yeah.
So you see him once a year.
About that, yeah.
Wow.
When we lived in America up to the age of 11, I saw him more often, once or twice a month maybe, and then
When did they split?
I was 10 when they left. But I always understood he's very busy and has a lot to do. So I never...
Can you see how the boy might interpret that as my father doesn't care about me?
No.
You can see how, I understand you sitting here right now, but you understand like a little boy
I think a little boy...
might think,
A little-
where's daddy? I want daddy, I'm here alone with mom.
And he might be right, because some fathers may not care. But my father did care.
Right.
He was just very busy.
But it must have been confusing for you.
No.
Not for the little boy?
No.
Like bring...
I'm being honest. I'm being honest. It wasn't.
Okay.
I never
Or you cut off, or those feelings were so painful, overwhelming, you cut off from them so quickly and then created this mindset to deal with...
I never for a second felt like he didn't care about me, ever. I never felt that. It didn't cross my mind.
Consciously.
Consciously.
But is it possible that unconsciously you might have a different belief?
Son.
And that on some level, some of what you're doing in the world is motivated by that, like wanting to win the love of your father?
Wow.
I think that is semi-true, but I'll tell you, I think that's
fine.
No.
Fine.
That's semi-true.
Judgment.
That's semi-true because I believe I have a duty to my ancestors. I don't think it's coming from a place of I'm broken trying to fix myself. I think I have the last name Tate. It was bestowed upon me, and I have responsibilities to live up to the last name Tate.
Yeah.
I do
He
believe
has
I have a
these
duty to
quick,
my
like,
ancestors. So is that trying to win the love of my
fake
father?
responses.
Perhaps. I never felt unloved by my father, ever. In fact, I would argue I had the best father on earth. I never felt like I was owed all of his time. It was very clear to me at a young age that he's extremely busy and extremely important, and that I can earn his time, or that I can't have as much of it as I want.
You have to earn his time?
Yeah.
That was a son should have to earn his father's time?
Yeah, why not?
Because he's a boy?
That breaks my heart, man.
That's hard.
We say a lot of things about Tate, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we're very
I feel for him.
expressive. But this is sad, man. If
Once or twice a month. You imagine if your little girl only saw you once or twice
and
a
then
month.
they moved from America to England when they were 11
And then you only see him, in
Maybe
a lot
once
of
a
ways
year.
before they moved to America, he only saw him once a
because
year.
his father didn't have any money.
Yeah.
I feel, even though his father's dead, I feel Tate has this deep
Longing.
inside longing and regret that he didn't get to make his father proud while his father was alive. Because in his mind, his father installed all these things in him. He thinks he is the best father in the world. How can you know if you have the best father in the world if he's not around?
Because he was busy. So he was working for the family.
And as a little boy, you don't understand that, man.
No.
I don't remember the mentality I had when I was 8 or 9. I don't remember that because now I'm 31 and my worldview has been shaped around what I currently live in. But to think that you have to earn your father's time and affection,
Yeah, it's a works mentality.
it's sad, man. So I'm praying for you, bro, because that's a very difficult place to be in, because you're then going to install that into your children, because the sins of the father and also the way that you viewed your father, if you live through life thinking that your children have to earn your attention, bro, that is the most devastating thing I can think of. That's so sad to me. I'm not roasting him, but I'm hoping that he can finally come around to knowing that for the people around you, your wife, your kids, your parents, you're meant to give of yourself to them.
Yeah.
You are meant to serve them.
Lay your life down.
You're meant to go on the ground, wash their feet, take care of them, and be present, man. One of the reasons why we're creating this channel is so that I don't have to work a traditional 9 to 5, because I want to be here for my kids. I don't want my kids to feel that they are fighting for my attention and I only get to see them 30 minutes before they go to bed. And, oh, did they even earn that? I don't want to travel so much that my kids see me once a month. It's so sad, man.
That's tough.
True.
And
So
the
I
father's love should be, at least for a boy, unconditional in some way.
Love and time are not necessarily the same thing.
Okay.
If I told my father, I want to play chess, I want you to teach me chess, he could find 2 hours. If I said to Dad, I want to play video games or let's watch TV together, he'd say, no, son, I have things to do.
Right.
So to a degree, I'd earn his time.
Yeah.
His time was valuable and it could not be wasted.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a duty to my ancestors. I don't feel like, and when I'm in jail, I feel like I can't disappoint him, and I feel like I do good for the world. I don't think this is me being some kind of broken secret. This is where we're going to disagree. You're going to think I'm some broken child inside or something. Okay, well, the inner child, or I'm guessing. But
Well, yes, inner child.
okay,
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything to do with
You have
that.
an inner child?
I think it's duty. I think I have duty and I have honor.
Yeah, I understand you have duty as a man, but that doesn't mean the inner child is not there. And I guess that's if the inner child has been disowned in some way, or his feelings have been relegated to the unconscious, like that's impacting you, that's affecting you, and knowing what those feelings are and how they impacted you, I think, would be important information for you.
But I was never sad. I can't say I had a hard childhood. I can't say I was sad. I can't say I wish he was different. Once again, and once again, let me psychoanalyze myself.
Yeah.
Once again, this might be rationale. I might be rationalizing.
Yes.
I might say, well, whatever happened made me the person I am today, and I love who I am today, so I'm glad it was the way it was. Perhaps. But once again, I think that puts me in the correct mental framework to be as capable as possible. I'm not going to sit here and say, I wish my dad did something else. What's the point? That's asinine.
Both things can be true, though. I wanted to see my father more. I wish he was there, and he wasn't. And now I'm here, and I'm going to make the best of it. And this is the result of that. And I've turned myself into this beast because of it. I mean, you made the most of the situation, but that doesn't discount the place where you may have wanted more from him. You may have wanted more love, more connection, just more time.
I think my father did the best he knew how to do, and second, he did exactly what was necessary to make me the person I am today.
Would it be okay for you to be angry with your father?
No, absolutely not.
Why
It's
not?
disrespectful.
Why not? Why?
Because he's my father.
But I'm not saying that you would have to confront him. I mean, obviously he's not here, but it's just like
That's selfish.
But if it's just a feeling, right? If it's just a feeling that wants to come.
It's ungratefulness.
Well, you're judging the feeling.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
For me to sit and say to the man who made me the man I am today,
Yeah.
who I, once again, never felt unloved by, who tried his very best to raise me, who sacrificed for me to exist, who gave me my last name, who bestowed upon me the honors and principles and morals I live by today,
Yeah.
for me to be angry at him because he was busy some days would be brutally ungrateful. No, I'm not allowed. No, I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed that feeling. It's ungrateful. I refuse to accept it. I refuse to feel it. I truly believe I had the best father on earth. I truly believe it. I don't believe, even now, if I have sons, I don't talk about what children I have publicly, if I have sons or when I have sons or my sons I have, whichever one it is, they will get my time, sure. They will get my dedication, absolutely. But I have expectations of them because of their last name. And they're going to have my time while we're working towards something fantastic. I'm not going to just sit around with my kids just for hours because they just deserve it. There's no participation trophies in the Tate household.
Right.
Bro.
That's sad. There's no participation trophies in the Tate household.
In competition, I agree. But when it comes to you having to win your father's time,
and thinking that it's not okay to have those feelings and emotions about him not being there, and how somehow it's disrespectful. No, it's not.
there's people that have horrible fathers.
Yeah.
And for you to have the mentality that you can never want your father to be a different way, or you regret how your father raised you. Yes, maybe you enjoyed how it was, but for you to make blanket statements about how fathers have to be always revered and always you have to appreciate everything your father did, the good, the bad, and the ugly, that's disingenuous to me. That's not...
It's intellectually dishonest.
Yeah, it's dishonest. For him to think that's disrespectful, it shows that you've been brainwashed to believe that you have to be thankful for everything all the time. Oh, my father slapped me. Okay, well, that was the best he knew how to raise me. Oh, my father would, abuse my mother. Well, that was all he knew, and I can't have any negative feelings towards that because that's disingenuous and that's being ungrateful. Dude, come on, be a freaking human, bro. You're not a robot. I know that you put on this facade of being strong all the time. You're one of the strongest men out there that I've ever seen, and there's a lot I've learned from you, Andrew Tate. There is a lot, and you've been an impactful part of my life. But when you say things like this, it is hurting people, because even in their horrible situations they're in, instead of thinking, oh, I can get out of this, or, my mother can leave my father because he's abusing her, you have this thing of, oh, you have to be grateful for everything your father has done, the good and the bad and the ugly. That is just a horrible mentality, man. I cannot get on board with that. As a wife, I have a little girl. The idea of her having to earn my attention, meaning I come home from work and she has to run up to me and try to do something that is worthy of my time.
That will elicit a response.
Bro, everyone's time that has money is valuable. Could you imagine if Elon Musk was like, you said to his children, right now I make $5 million an hour. You have to do something that's worth my time because I can make $5 million an hour. That is a horrible way to live, bro.
Money's not everything.
Money is not everything. If you don't value spending time with your kids because it is good for you, it is good for them. Yes, your father gave you his last name. He installed Tate discipline into you, but he lacked the ability to help you feel any level of empathy, man.
The goal of this channel, guys, is to help men and call them to a higher standard.
Correct.
And we're not Tate haters in the sense that we disagree with everything he says. There's a lot of what he said on this that was very enlightening, it was very interesting. But I think David, the psychotherapist, pointed out a lot of potholes or contradictions in Tate's message where he'd never been asked those questions before, and it caused us to really see deep down where he lacks areas of empathy, emotional vulnerability, and also collective just being present. And like sometimes when you're sitting with somebody and they're struggling, even if it's your kids, sometimes the best thing you can do is just give them the gift of your presence. Just be present with them, hold them, cry with them, even if you're not crying and they're crying, holding them in your arms and saying it's going to be okay. It doesn't have to be a death of a loved one for you to have those moments. That's what creates connection and trust and empathy. You imagine every time if your wife came up to you and she was crying and you didn't hold her or you didn't console her, she would feel repelled by you.
We would not be married to this day.
Yeah.
Every day as well, going back to the kid thing he's talking about, because I edit so much, because we're filming so much and I'm working so much, I'll come back at 5:30 at night or 6. And dude, as soon as I open the door, my little 3.5-year-old girl runs up to me and she's attached to the hip to me till she goes to bed at 7:30 or 8 because she went the entire day without my presence. And then when I come home, she wants to feel connected with me. So she'll be like, Daddy, let's watch my show. And so I'll get, sit in our big chair and she'll sit next to me and just cuddle with me. She wants to hold my hand.
She doesn't talk to you the whole time.
She wants to hold my hand. We're not talking the whole time. We'll just watch something and then she'll just look up at me and say, I love you, Daddy. And I cannot imagine looking at her and thinking she has to earn my time, bro. Or we have to do something together that is good for me too. Sometimes just being a father is being there for your children, being there for your wife. And it's not, everything in life is not about, is your time worth that? If we're talking about it, yes, 2 hours that I spend with her, I could be editing and I could be making, $500 or whatever. Who cares? If I'm building that relationship with her, it's not only good for my mental health, it's going to change the way she views men, because if I'm there for her, I'm being there for her and not challenging her because she's 3.5, but just showing her love. She is then going to expect the same thing in other men. So she's less likely to be involved with someone that's going to abuse her because she didn't have an abusive father. A lot of people don't realize that often when women choose somebody that's abusive, it's different if they ended up being two-faced, they were loving and then became abusive. But if they're attracted to someone that's more domineering and abusive, often it's because that's the only kind of father figure they knew. So if you want your children,
if they had a father at all.
Yeah, if they had a father at all. It could have been other men figures in their life. So if you want to have a healthy relationship, if you want your children to choose men of moral character and a moral code and that put her first and love her, then you have to be that for your kids.
In every area. You can't just be that in financial stability because there's sugar daddies out there everywhere that will do the same thing that you're doing.
Exactly.
If you don't show the love and the affection and the care,
but that's still abuse.
And that's still, I believe that's actually criminal abuse because you're not actually doing the necessary things to have them grow up to have that standard. Now, if I was to have kids in the future, which I plan to do once I get married, is, yes, I want to raise my kids in the way that they should go so that they do not depart from it.
Amen,
that they
bro.
get older and they realize that there is nothing that the value that I have as a woman, knowing that I can go out there and I can spot a fake man right away, a man that's not masculine, but that comes with teaching, that comes with time, that comes with your daughter looking at the way you treat your wife, right? Because kids are smart. They know what's going on. They don't vocalize it when they're really young, but they can still instinctively tell.
They're sponges, bro.
They're sponges. And so when he was little, he was a sponge for isolation and his dad not being there. So what did he do? He created a mindset
to get his
avoid
father's
that pain.
approval. To get his father's approval.
Yeah.
To this day,
He's
still trying to get his dead father's approval. And that's sad, man. So he's going to project that on his kids. I hope he doesn't, but most people do.
Yep.
And then his kids are going to constantly be fighting each other for their father's approval. Because if you have to
But he sees that as competition.
No, because if you have to fight for your father's approval and for them to love you and want to spend time with you, if he has 5 kids, bro, they're all going to be figuring out ways, okay, maybe I can play my father in chess because he's not going to want to actually go out and have ice cream with me. It's dangerous, man. But guys, let us know what you think. We know this was over an hour. This was kind of a longer one. But Tate going to therapy, we felt was worth the time.
Yep.
You really got to get inside of him because we didn't want to do a reaction like the other ones we've done where he's just talking about mentality. We've done that before. But this is something I've never seen. I watched this with fresh eyes and my mind's blown because now I feel like I have a more well-rounded view of what Tate actually thinks and what happens when he's challenged. So
yeah, thank you guys for our subscriber count is blowing up right now. We're super excited about it. If you haven't seen our other video, the Oliver Anthony video is right here. And then you can also watch some of our other reaction videos right here as well. Look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
appreciate you.
Peace.